The past 5 years have been an interesting time to be a proper car fan. If by interesting, you mean interesting in the same way that it's interesting to spill a pan of hot oil into your crotch. Everything's got bigger, everything's got heavier, everything's got more expensive. And if I had a swear jar for every time I said that, I'd be able to afford a very second-hand small hatchback, which should mean that this, the updated Toyota GR Yaris, isn't just a good car, but a salvation, a tonic, an antidote to everything that's wrong with modern motoring. But is it? Oh, come on, you know the answer. It's bloody brilliant. Now that said, our favourite rally homologation special hot hatch thing, thank you for mooing, hasn't escaped the nonsense of modern motoring. This now bongs at you when you go a tiny bit over the speed limit, but thankfully it's easier to turn off the bongs than it is to get it into a four-wheel drift in the wet. And secondly, even its twin diff setup hasn't helped it slalom round a massive price hike. It's gone up 12 grand. This is now a 46 grand car, which is mad, but it is still kind of worth it. There are some special editions which are £60,000. Try explaining how you spent 60 grand on a Yaris to someone and watch them put their virginity back in. Not yours. Now, as you can probably tell, the looks of this car haven't really changed very much at all. The engine has been tweaked though. It's still 1.6 litre turbocharged 3-cylinder, but it's now up to 280 horsepower and 390 newton meters of torque. 0 to 62 has dropped from 5.5 to 5.2 seconds, and it will still do 140-ish miles an hour. It's very short geared, and it's very fast, and there's now an 8-speed automatic gearbox option as well, which pushes the price up by about 1,500 quid-ish. And as we'll get onto in the driving bit of this video, I think actually ticking that box might be worthwhile. But look, there's some red bits here. It looks very rally-ish, and there's now a button to spray water into your intercooler, which is just so 90s JDM rally reprobate max power stuff. I kind of love it just for that. It's gone a bit retro, this car, as we'll see inside in a minute. Now, if there's ever been a car that's a victim of its own success, I think this is probably it. It was such a huge hit for Toyota when it first came out in 2021 that they could barely keep up with demand, but they did, and that car's held its value really, really well. It was 34 grand, and they're only just coming down to about 28, 29,000 pounds with the introduction of this new model. And this new model you can't really order. They're only making a couple of hundred for the UK every year. And if you go onto Toyota's website, you can register your interest, but that's about it. But anyway, let's talk about it. It's still 4 meters long. It is still tiny. It still has basically nothing to do with your Nan's Yaris. It's got a low roof. It's obviously a 3-door only. There's not a 3-door Yaris. The roof is forged carbon, but Toyota still insists on putting a fake carbon wrap on it because apparently the forged carbon isn't very pretty. You've got these really intricate wheels, which I'm terrified of curbing. And when you bought this back in 2021, you could pick, I think it was the convenience pack or the circuit pack, which had mutually exclusive options. But everyone went for the circuit pack because it gave you twin diffs, front and back, and bigger brakes. You now get all of that stuff as standard, which is good. But yeah, it is absolutely tiny. In terms of cubic meterage of car for your money, this is one of the worst value cars out there. But when you drive it, you won't care. When Toyota made the body for the GR Yaris, that low roofline meant that there were some ergonomic foibles, should we say, in the cabins. The rear view mirror was basically here, like really close to your head, and the infotainment screen was up here, which actually blocked some of the view out the windscreen. Now that's all been fixed, this has been moved, and you've now got this kind of dash pod, which is all lower, and it is quite, I don't know, it does look like some kind of 90s competition car, like this should be flocked in Alcantara or something. I really like it. The analog dials have gone, there's a digital dash cluster there, which shows you your boost pressure, your MPG, 22 I've been getting, and all the rest of it. But look, you've got USB-C there, USB-C there. This has got wireless CarPlay, so that's good. It's simple in here. There's a little slot for your phone down here, but then if you're using the cup holders, you can't use that. There's a little bin there for your backseat passengers. The glove box is actually an all right size. This shelf here, stuff just flies off that when you accelerate, and the door bins can take a big bottle, so it's actually quite livable. You've got manual air controls as well. Sorry, it's proper automatic climate control, but you've got physical buttons for it there. The steering wheel, if you closed your eyes and held it, you would say Porsche 911 in the thinness and the diameter of it. It is really nice and really weighty when you're using it as well. And you've got the button down here for the intercooler spray, which is Really, really important. Obviously your drive mode selector's there, and you've still got the twist knob there to change the GR4 four-wheel drive system between normal, gravel and track modes to adjust the torque balance. Manual handbrake as well. I'm not sure I'm going to show you that in this video because Toyota might not like what I've been doing with it. You would like it. A quick point on practicality for the GR Yaris. I've actually been using this as my family car this week, and I found that both of my kids' high back boosters fit in the back okay, and the seats slide forward enough that kids can get in and out. It will help you if they can do their seatbelts themselves, like mine can, but they've really liked going in the back of this. And actually, getting the seatbelts in with Isofix mounted seats in there is easier than in the Ford Puma I reviewed the other week. That's outrageous. But yeah, obviously adults aren't going to fit back there for very long journeys. It's going to be uncomfortable. You might just want to fold the rear seats down and leave them, so you've got a four-wheel drive 280 horsepower van. That sounds pretty fun. The bum recipe has been tweaked ever so slightly for this update. I think it still looks amazing from behind. You've got the fat twin pipes there. You've lost the Toyota badge and you've lost the kind of triangular fog light, brake light there, but it's just a cleaner looking car. The boot is still absolutely tiny. It's 174 litres, but you can flip the rear seats down, and I'll show you in a bit that you can actually fit child seats in it as well. Under the boot floor, you've got a big water tank for that intercooler spray, and you've got the battery there as well. So everything's been done in the name of weight distribution and packaging to make this a fun car to drive, which it is. Should we go and find out just how fun? Right, so what's it actually like to drive? Well, it's a little bit lumpy. Quite a weighty clutch. It's quite springy as well. A very direct gear shift, and like third and fifth feel very close together. It feels a bit challenging to drive. The first time you get in it, or certainly the first time I got in it, I thought, ooh, it feels like I can't drive. I'm just turning the speed limit warning off for no reason. I'm not going to speed. But yeah, it's alive. The steering, the car is moving with the road. It is, it will hunt out grip. It will follow contours in the road, and the back axle, if you boot it on an uneven bit of road, will find the grip and move sideways, which can at first be a bit unnerving if you're not used to it, but it's just the way this car works. It is also explosively fast. It's very short geared, so in second gear, it makes your eyeballs go funny. And I was filming this for the Motorpoint YouTube channel yesterday, and my cameraman was sitting in that seat. He is used to fast cars, and he said the second gear acceleration in this Toyota Yaris made him feel a bit sick. So I think that is a very good testament to just how punchy this 1.6 litre engine is. However, I don't think it does sound as good as it used to. It doesn't have quite the same warble. It just sounds a little bit gruff. And I think that's a little bit of a shame. It's missing some of the character that it used to have. Let's quickly talk about the gearbox though. You've got this button down here that says IMT, which is your auto blipping system. And if you're a purist, you might sniff at that. But I've been using that a lot because I don't find it very easy to heel and tow in this car. Admittedly, I'm wearing big boots, but they do work for heel and towing in most other cars. And the accelerator in this is just a little bit too far to the right. I can't really bridge it and the brake pedal confidently, which is it's a little bit unfortunate. But look at this. You just throw gears at it and throw gears at it, and it rips through them with this kind of gruff bark, and you fly down the road with complete confidence. And that confidence comes through the seat as much as the steering wheel, because you can feel the GR4 system moving torque about, doing stuff with the differentials, even at mostly legal speeds, I should point out. It's really engaging. Do you know what it reminds me of? I'm going to get shot for saying this. It reminds me of an R35 GTR. If you've ever driven the Nissan GTR, you'll know it doesn't feel like a computer game. It feels mechanical. It sounds mechanical. This doesn't sound mechanical, but bloody hell, it performs some absolute genius to get you hooked up and round corners. It's such a cliche. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. But across country, not much is going to be faster than this little pocket rocket. it is just insanely good at cornering, giving you confidence. And I'm not going to be able to show you this next bit, but if you're on a wet road, a gravelly road, and you've got it in the right mode, or you've turned traction control off and you use the weight to move the car around, it will do 4-wheel drifts all day long. It will do dainty little ones, massive ones. It's entertaining, and that's what cars should be about. What's going on here? To turn around. Bumpy, big dip. It's quite low, and the suspension is very firm. They've softened it off slightly, but it's still gonna rattle your teeth out on bumpy, crappy roads. So, yeah, just be aware of that. It's quite a loud car as well. On a motorway cruise, you're gonna have to crank up the sound system, which is actually brilliant now, massively improved and really bassy and punchy. But yeah, the road noise in here is, yeah, it's a lot. You would say it's unforgivable if it wasn't such an entertaining car to drive. Yes, now I drove this back from picking up at Toyota over in Crawley last week. Getting back to where I live is all these tiny little country roads. You just get lost down them. You always end up in the same place, but you just take different left and right turns to get home. And this just ate it up. It egged me on. It flowed with the road, gave me complete confidence to attack the road like a proper knobber. And the brakes were fantastic. You could position yourself exactly where you want. It's nice and narrow, so you're not worried about stuff coming the other way. It's really, really good on British roads if you like going for a bit of a hoon. I love it. I love it. It's got so much to it. That 4-wheel drive system that you can adjust. The handbrake of joy. Nearly did it. Not going to do it. I'm going to be a grown-up. It's marvellous. And then obviously there's the tuning scene for it as well, which has sprung up. People giving it more power, people giving it more noise, people giving it different suspension. There's so much out there. It's kind of a blank canvas, really. And I love that Akio Toyoda, the chairman of Toyota, had a really big part in developing it, because he's a racing driver. He put one of these on its roof when he was originally developing it. He cares. And to have that kind of buy-in from the top level of your business, it's nuts. Like, this car makes no sense on paper. £46,000, 3-door Yaris. Are you having a bath? Yes, they are. But they've also made one of the most entertaining cars I've ever driven. But anyway, that sounds like a conclusion, doesn't it? I'm sorry I couldn't show you any skids or proper hoonage, but I would just get myself in trouble. Let's go back to the lay-by. It's jiggly. It is jiggly. Did I mention that if you put it in gravel mode and pull out of a car park with a bit of a dump of the clutch, it will just skid sideways? It's highly entertaining. It's like a Ford Mustang that doesn't want to kill people. Actually, just before we go back for a conclusion, I did mention the automatic gearbox option. And I would say this car, you end up on a twisty road really busy in here, which is why I recommend using the auto blipper. But you almost do want paddles on the steering wheel when you're driving this properly fast, because you're over here, you're over there. Yes, sure, the manual is great for driver involvement, but if you actually want to go really fast, I would recommend the automatic gearbox so you don't get too flustered. Right, let's sum up this amazing car. I'll start by saying, if you love driving, especially if you love driving like a bit of a knob, you'll have a great time with this car. It's so entertaining, it's adjustable, you can mess about with it. You can drive it fast and grippy or slow and slidey, especially if you use that handbrake, and it does just feel like, I imagine, a rally car would feel, admittedly one with wireless CarPlay and the good sound system now as well. It's really impressive, the sound system in this car. It's thirsty. I've been getting about 22 mpg, but that's been ragging it everywhere. The clutch is heavy, but that makes it feel like a competition car, so I'm all right with that. The boot is small, and you're not going to fit adults in the back, and it's expensive, and the rear visibility isn't very good. But despite all of that, it's the best thing I've driven in a very, very long time. And I've been on the classifieds looking at the pre-facelift ones of these. They're about 28 grand now. Take it down to Litchfield, get it remapped to 320 horsepower for about £1,000. I think you'd be mad not to. If you miss hot hatches, if you miss Fiesta STs, if you want something that gives you usable performance on narrow British roads, whatever the weather, and you want to have a laugh with it or take it on track, this just ticks all those boxes. It's amazing. Well done, Toyota. You've not cocked it up. You've improved on what was already, I think, probably the best car you've ever made. But anyway, thank you for watching this. If you've liked it, please hit like, subscribe. Go down to the comments and leave me the Japanese word for my underpants are on fire every time I drive. Thank you.